Greystar, the premise behind the founding of Greystar was to take what at that point in time in the US in the early 90s, rental housing was a very mom and pop business. It wasn't professional. There were no blue chip firms. So it was just a less mature asset class. And the whole concept of Greystar was to build a blue chip company for institutional capital to access the asset class, to create a professional organization, and to institutionalize multifamily as an asset class in the US. And so that certainly has taken, over the last 20 years plus in the US, and I think we see a very similar trend globally, and that's certainly the case in Europe, where institutions want to invest in income-producing residential, and they want, higher quality assets. They want center city locations in major cities, and they want, operators who can operate those assets because, they're operationally intensive. And so as, Europe continues to build that type of product in those types of locations with those types of operators, you're going to see more institutional capital flood the space and make a more mature marketplace. And I think that's why we think Europe is extremely interesting. But again, I think it's less about the continent and more about the major cities within the continent. It's a city strategy versus a country or continent strategy.
No, we're absolutely looking at a city-by-city basis. It's all about urbanization, about household growth, where are the good cities which are growing. Basically, there are enough houses in Europe, but they're not all at the right locations. And you have what Han was telling about the lack of supply in cities. So undersupply, high demand, it's a very strong combination.